Hello students, welcome to Interconnecting Physics. In this video, I will teach you drift velocity, its relation with current, Ohm's law, resistance, cause of resistance, conductance and conductivity. So without wasting time, let's get started. So in last video, we studied about what is drift velocity and the derivation for drift velocity. In this video, we will discuss the relation between drift velocity and current. So, what was drift velocity? Drift velocity is the average velocity with which each electron gets drift in the direction opposite to the electric field. And the order of drift velocity was 10 raised to power minus 4 meter per second. Okay. And the formula for drift velocity was minus E, capital E, tau divided by m, where E is the charge on electron, capital E is the applied electric field, m is the mass of the electron and tau is the relaxation time. Now, let us discuss the relation between drift velocity and current. For this, let us consider a conductor whose length is L and a potential difference V is applied across this conductor through a battery V. Okay. Now, we know that each and every electron will get drifted in the direction opposite to the electric field. That is, each electron will move from negative end of the conductor to the positive end. So let us say the electric field which is set up in this conductor is E. If V is the potential difference, L is the length of the conductor, then the value of electric field E equal to V upon L. Why V upon L? Because we studied E equal to minus dV upon dr. That is, electric field is always negative of the potential gradient. If we take magnitude of this equation, then we will get E equal to dV upon dr. If here dV is capital V and dr is L, then E becomes V over L. Now we have to calculate the relation between drift velocity and current. So let us start from current. According to the definition of current, I equal to Q divided by T, where Q is the charge flowing through the conductor and T is the time taken by this charge to flow through the conductor. Now if N is the number of electron per unit volume, N is number of electrons per unit volume of the conductor, then that means number of electron will be N multiplied by volume of the conductor. Okay. If N is the number of electrons per unit volume, per unit, in each unit of volume, then total number of electrons in the conductor is equal to N multiplied by the volume of the conductor. So that means the total number of electrons in the conductor is equal to N into AL, where AL is the volume of the conductor. How? Because if A is the area of the conductor, L is the length of the conductor, then A multiplied by L becomes volume of the conductor. Now total charge flowing through the conductor will be total number of electrons multiplied by the charge on each electron. Okay, total number of electrons multiplied by charge on each electron, that will become the total charge flowing through the conductor. Now let us calculate the time. Let us say T is the time. Let us say T is the time which is taken by this charge to flow through the length of the conductor. Then if Vd is the drift velocity, then according to the definition of velocity, it will be equal to length divided by time. Okay, we have to calculate here time. So it will become length of the conductor divided by drift velocity. So here T is length of the conductor divided by drift velocity. So substitute this value here and the value of T in equation number 1. We will get NaLe. It is the charge which was equal to total number of electron in the circuit multiplied by the charge on each electron divided by the time taken by this charge to flow through the length of the conductor. So L cancels out with L and I is equal to NeAVd. So this is the required relation between current and drift velocity, which is equal to number of the electrons per unit volume, charge on each electron, area of cross section of the conductor and drift velocity of the electrons. Okay. If N is constant, E is constant, A is constant, that means I is directly proportional to Vd. if you are asked to calculate the relation between current and relaxation time, if you are asked, then only then you have to do this. Otherwise, the required relation is I is directly proportional to Vd. We know that Vd, drift velocity, is E in magnitude form, E capital E tau divided by m. If we put this value here, okay, then we will get Ne square Ae tau divided by m. This is the required relation between the current and the relaxation time. Okay, so this is the relation between the current and the drift velocity. Now one important point lies here, that in conductor, we know that in conductor there are one type of charge carriers. There are one type of charge carriers, that is free electrons. But in electrolytes and in semiconductor materials, they contain both type of charge carriers, positive as well as negative. Then in case of semiconductors or electrolytes, in which there exists two type of charge carriers, positive as well as negative, what will be the relation between current and the drift velocity? Let us calculate, because in semiconductors we have two types of charge carrier. Let us say positive charge carrier denoted by Q1 and negative charge carrier denoted by Q2. Positive charge carriers, let us say number of positive charge carriers per unit volume is N1 and number of negative charge carriers per unit volume is N2. Okay, then I will be equal to, according to this relation, N1 Q1 A into V1. V1 is the drift velocity of the one type of charge carrier, plus if we are talking about negative charge carriers, then it will be N2 Q2 A into V2. Okay, if we have two types of charge carrier, then for positive charge carrier, the equation will be N1 Q1 A into V1, because A remains same in the semiconductor, because the length or area of the semiconductor will be same. And for negative charge carrier, it will be N2 Q2 A into V2, where N1 is the number of the positive charge carrier per unit volume, Q1 is the charge on positive charge carrier, and V1 is the drift velocity of positive charge carrier. Here N2 is the number of negative charge carriers per unit volume, Q2 is the charge on each negative charge carrier, and V2 is the velocity of the negative charge carrier. Then the I will be equal to, A is common, so can be taken out from the summations, I from I1 to Y2, because there are only two types of charge carriers, and the result is Ni Qi into Vi. So this is the required relation between the current and the drift velocity if we have semiconductors or electrolytes in which there are two types of charge carriers present, that is positive as well as negative. And this was the relation for conductors, in which only one type of charge carrier is present, that is free electron. Okay. Now next is some conceptual question, depends upon drift velocity and current. Okay. A current carrying conductor is electrically neutral. Why? Current carrying conductor is electrically neutral. Why? You know, a conductor becomes charged if only if there is additional number of if there is excess number of electrons. Okay, but when current flows through a conductor, then what will happen? Number of electrons entering the conductor will be equal to number of electrons leaving the conductor. If we have two free electrons entering the conductor, then there will be two free electrons leaving the conductor. So there is no accumulation of charge. Across the ends of the conductor, and therefore the current carrying conductor is always electrically neutral. The answer is because the number of electrons entering the conductor is equal to number of electrons leaving the conductor, and there will be no accumulation of charge inside the conductor. Hence, current carrying conductor is always electrically neutral. Now, second question is, the electron drift velocity is very small. What is the value? 10 raised to power minus 4 meter per second. It is the value for drift velocity. And the charge on electron is also very small, that is 9.1 into 10 raised to power minus 31 kilogram. Then we obtain a large amount of current through a conductor. Why? See, drift velocity is small, charge on electron is small. Then why we obtain large amount of current through a conductor? Because we know the relation between current and drift velocity is NeAV. Though Charge on electron is small, drift velocity of the electron is small, but number of electrons per unit volume of the conductor is very large. In case of copper, it is approximately 10 raised to power 29. That is 10 raised to power 29 number of electrons per unit volume. So this number is very large, and when we multiply N with E, with VD, with A, we get large amount of charge through a conductor. Okay. Now next is Ohm's law. Very important law which gives the relation between current flowing through a conductor and potential difference across the conductor, and it was given by George Simon Ohm. Okay, so according to this law, the current I flowing through a conductor is directly proportional to the potential difference across the conductor. Suppose if we have a conductor which is connected to some battery having potential difference V. So Ohm's law states that current I flowing through a conductor, because electron will move in this direction, so conventional current will move in the direction opposite to the flow of electron. So according to Ohm's law, the current flowing through a conductor is directly proportional to the potential difference across the conductor, or this equation can be written like this: V is directly proportional to I, and if we remove proportionality sign, we get constant of proportionality R, where R is called constant of proportionality, and it's very important quantity called electric resistance of the conductor. And this depends upon, electric resistance depends upon, number one, nature of the material of the conductor, number two, dimensions of the conductor, that is length of the conductor, thickness of the conductor, okay, and number three, temperature of the conductor. So now when we state Ohm's law, please note one point: when we state Ohm's law, that is current is directly proportional to potential difference across the conductor, there are some physical conditions which are kept constant, like temperature of the conductor constant, pressure of the conductor remains constant, and strain remains constant. Why? Because resistance depends upon the temperature of the conductor. If temperature will change, resistance will change. Okay, whole Ohm's law will change. That's why when we state I is directly proportional to V, we keep temperature of the conductor constant, pressure, strain, and other physical parameters remain unchanged. Okay, and the value of R does not depend upon the value of potential difference and current. Okay, always remember this point: the value of resistance does not depend upon the potential difference and current of the conductor. Okay, now electrical resistance, we know that V equal to IR, where R is the electrical resistance. And what is the definition for electrical resistance? It is simply the opposition to the flow of current. It is the obstacle in the path of the current. Okay, in the layperson definition, the definition is the resistance is the opposition to the flow of current, and if we go through this relation, then the definition becomes: it is the ratio of potential difference across the ends of the conductor to the current flowing through a conductor, that is R equal to V over I, and the SI unit of resistance is ohm. In the name of George Simon Ohm, the units are ohm, OHM. It is denoted by small o. If you write ohm with capital O, then it will become the name of the scientist. So ohm equal to 1 volt, because SI unit of potential difference is volt, SI unit of current is ampere. Okay, so 1 ohm will be, the symbol of ohm is like this: 1 ohm will be 1 volt ampere inverse, like this. Okay, so 1 ohm is 1 volt ampere inverse. So let us define the definition of ohm. Resistance of conductor is said to be 1 ohm. Resistance of conductor is said to be 1 ohm if 1 ampere current flows through a circuit or a conductor when potential difference of 1 volt is applied across it. Okay. Now dimension formula for resistance. I already told you, never cram the dimension formula. Just know the formula, know the basic formula, and calculate the dimension formula from that basic formula. Now, we know that voltage equal to work divided by charge, and current is current. Okay, so what is the dimension formula for work? It is ml2t minus 2, and what we write charge as at. What is the dimension formula for current? It is a. Now ml2 t becomes minus 3 and a becomes minus 2. So it is very easy to calculate the dimension formula from this formula. Okay, so it is ml2t minus 3a minus 2. So this was about electric resistance, SI units and dimension formula of resistance. Now verification of Ohm's law. How will we verify the Ohm's law? For this, let us consider a circuit in which conductor AB of length L is connected to some battery having potential differences V through a key and through ammeter which is connected with some rheostat. Rheostat is the device which is used to increase or decrease the resistance, okay, which controls the flow of current basically. Ammeter is the device which is used to measure the current through the circuit, and voltmeter is the device which is used to measure the potential difference through the circuit. And voltmeter is always connected in parallel to the element. Element here is conductor, and ammeter is always connected in series with the conductor. Okay, so we have considered this circuit. Now let us make a table. When we do this experiment, we make a table. Okay, so this is serial number, this is voltmeter reading, this is ammeter reading. Okay, let us say 1, 2 and 3. We take 3 readings from this circuit. Now we close the key. Let us close the key. Close key means switch on. Switch on the circuit. Okay, when we switch on the circuit, current starts flowing through the circuit. Okay, so we note the value of current through the ammeter and we note the value of potential difference through the voltmeter. So let us say voltmeter reading is X, ammeter reading is Y. Now we change the value of rheostat, okay, and we again note the value of voltmeter and ammeter. So let us say it is X1 and Y1. Now again we change the value of rheostat and we note down the value of current from the ammeter and value of potential difference from the voltmeter. Let us say this value is X2 and Y2. Okay. Now when we divide V divided by I, that is X divided by Y, X1 divided by Y1 equal to X2 divided by Y2, it becomes constant. Okay, and we already know that V over I is equal to R, that is resistance of the circuit, which is always constant. Okay, so here the Ohm's law is verified because X over Y, X1 over Y1, X2 over Y2, that is V over I. All of these are the readings of voltage and these are the readings of current, and all these values become equal to constant. So that means Ohm's law is verified, and this method is called voltmeter ammeter method. Okay, now VI characteristics, that is voltage current characteristics. So the variation of electric current through a conductor with the variation of potential difference across the ends of the conductor at constant temperature is called VI characteristics of the conductor. In electrical, characteristics means graph. Okay, in electrical or electronics, characteristics means graph. So the graph is drawn between the potential difference and the current flowing through the circuit. So that means variation of electric current through a conductor with the variation of potential difference across the ends of the conductor at constant temperature is called VI characteristics. V is along y-axis, I is along x-axis, and this is the straight line passing through the origin. This is the VI characteristics. So determination of the resistance of conductor using VI characteristics. Let us calculate. Let us say we have drawn these dotted lines A, O, B. Let us say this AO is V and this OB is I. So when we divide AO divided by OB, it is equal to V over I. So this becomes V over I, and which is equal to R. That is resistance of the circuit. And what is this AO over OB? It is the slope of the VI characteristics. Slope of VI characteristics. It means in VI characteristics, the slope of VI characteristics is equal to resistance of the conductor. That means if slope of the VI characteristic is high, that means resistance of the circuit will be high. If the slope is small, the resistance of the circuit will be small. So this is the direct relation between the slope of the VI characteristics and the resistance of the conductor. But if we draw IV characteristics, that means if I is taken along y-axis and V is taken along x-axis and we take a slope, that is this time let us say this point is AOB. So AO divided by OB, if this is I and this is V, this will be I divided by V. And according to Ohm's law, V equal to IR. If V over I equal to R, that means I over V equal to 1 over R. Okay. So I over V equal to 1 over R. So what is A over OB? It is the slope of the IV characteristics. Slope of IV characteristics. That means slope of IV characteristic is inversely proportional to R. Inversely, not directly. It is in the inverse relation with the slope of the IV characteristics. That means if slope of the IV characteristic is high, the resistance of the conductor will be small. And if slope of IV characteristic is small, the resistance of the circuit will be high. So in IV characteristics there is opposite relation, and in VI characteristic there is direct relation. Let us understand this with some question. Let us say VI and IV graphs for two conductors A and B are shown below. This is VI characteristics. This is IV characteristics. So question is, which of the conductor has more resistance? Now this is VI characteristics. Here slope is equal to R. This is IV characteristics. Here slope is 1 over R. Okay. In this graph, the conductor B has slope high slope. Okay. That means resistance of B is high. Okay. And in this graph, the slope of A is high. That means resistance of A is small. But we are asked with which of the conductors has more resistance. And the slope of B is small. That means R will be high. That means here B has large resistance. Okay. So in this way you can conceptualize your question. Okay. Now let us understand cause of electrical resistance. Okay. So what is the cause of electrical resistance? We already studied when we apply some electric field through a conductor through some battery. V having potential difference V plus minus, an electric field is set up here whose direction is from positive to negative, an electron will be drifted in the direction opposite to the electric field. Now when we apply electric field, what will happen? When we apply electric field, electron starts moving from negative end to positive end of the conductor. And we know that motion of electrons gives us current. Motion of electrons gives us current. But during this motion, each electron strikes with the ions of the conductor. Each electron strikes with the ions of the conductor and gets stopped. Okay. Every electron gets drifted, strikes with the ion and becomes at rest. Again it gets drifted, strikes with the ion at rest. Again it gets drifted, strikes with the ions of the conductor and will be at rest. Again it gets drifted, strikes with the ions of the conductor and will be at rest. So the motion of electron from negative end to positive end will be like zigzag. And this is the cause of the resistance, because the collision between the ions of the conductor makes difficult for current to flow. Okay, and this is the main cause of the resistance, that is the collision between the electrons and ions of the conductor. So when electric field is applied to a conductor, electrons start flowing from negative end to positive end of the conductor. Motion of electrons give rise to current, but when electron flows, this strikes with the ions of the conductor, and this collision between the electrons and ions of the conductor makes difficult for current to flow. This means this collision offers opposition to the flow of the current, and the electrical resistance depends upon nature of material, dimensions of the conductor and temperature of the conductor. Okay, and the note here, ohm meter is a device which is used to measure the electrical resistance in the circuit, and the resistance of human body when skin is dry is about 10 raised to power 5 ohm, and skin is wet. When skin is wet, the resistance of human body is 1500 ohm. Okay, now factors on which electrical resistance depends. Number 1, electrical resistance depends upon the length of the conductor, and that means R is directly proportional to L. Okay. Number 2, Resistance of the conductor depends upon the area of cross section and it is inversely proportional to the area of cross section of the conductor. When we combine these two equations, we will get R is directly proportional to L over A. When we remove this proportionality sign, we will get constant of proportionality rho L over A. Rho is called constant of proportionality and is known as electrical resistivity or specific resistance of the conductor, and it's very important quantity. It is called specific resistance of the conductor or electrical resistivity. Okay. So let us discuss about rho. If R equal to rho L over A, then rho will be equal to R A over L. If A is 1 unit, L is 1 unit, then rho will be equal to R. If we put A equal to 1 here, L equal to 1 here, then this equation will become rho equal to R. That means specific resistance of the circuit, that is resistivity of the conductor, is equal to resistance of the conductor of unit length and unit area of cross section. Means the conditions are, if A is unit, L is unity, then resistance, specific resistance, resistivity of the conductor becomes equal to resistance of the conductor. Now let us discuss SI unit of the resistivity. We know that SI unit of R is ohm, SI unit of area is meter square, SI unit of length is meter. If meters cancels out with meter, then we will get units of resistivity are ohm meter, denoted by ohm meter. Okay, and dimension formula, if we write dimension formula for resistance, write dimension formula for area and for length, we calculate, we will get ml3 t minus 3 a minus 2. For resistance it was L2, for resistivity it is L3, that is ml3 t minus 3 a minus 2. Now resistivity of conductor does not depend upon the dimension. Always remember this point, resistance R depends upon the dimensions of the conductor, that is length, thickness, area, but resistivity of conductor does not depend upon the dimensions. It only depends upon the nature of the material of the conductor, and it also depends upon the temperature of the conductor. If temperature of conductor is high, resistance will be increases. This I will tell you in next video, how the resistivity changes with the temperature of the conductor. So let us understand this line, that is resistivity of conductor does not depend upon the dimensions of the object by this numerical. It is given that resistivity of metallic wire is 1 into 10 raised to power minus 8 ohm meter. Ohm meter. If length of the wire is doubled and its area of cross section is made half, what will be the new value of resistivity of the wire? Okay. Let us understand the question first. So question is, resistivity is 1 into 10 raised to power minus 8 ohm meter for some metallic wire. Let us say this is the metallic wire. Now, if length of the wire is doubled, okay, if length of the wire is doubled, means if we beat the wire again and again, then obviously it will get thin and becomes doubled. So let us say earlier length was L, now length is 2L, and earlier area was A, and now its area of cross section is made half, that is area becomes half. Okay, then what will be the new value of resistivity? Answer is, there will be no change in the value of resistivity. Value of resistivity again, it is 1 into 10 raised to power minus 8 ohm meter. It will not change because it does not depend upon the length and area of the wire. It does not depend upon the dimensions of the object. So it will remain same. Okay. Now let us understand what is conductance. Reciprocal of resistance is called conductance. It's very easy. Reciprocal of resistance is called conductance. It is denoted by capital G. And the SI unit of conductance is, if resistance is ohm, then what is the SI unit of conductance? It is ohm inverse, or it is mho. Okay, ohm inverse. If we reverse, MHO, that is mho, or it is noted as sine, denoted by capital S. And dimension formula again, inverse of the resistance, that is M minus 1, L minus 2, T3A 2. Okay. Now what is conductivity? Reciprocal of the resistivity is called conductivity, is denoted by sigma. 1 over rho is the resistivity. So sigma is the conductivity. It is 1 over resistivity, and the units of resistivity are ohm meter. So unit of conductivity will be ohm inverse meter inverse. Ohm inverse is called Simon. Meter inverse is meter inverse. The units are Simon meter inverse, and the dimension formula of conductivity is just reverse of the resistivity, that is m minus 1 L minus 3 T3A2. So this was all about the relation between drift velocity and current, which was I equal to NEAVD, and resistance, which is denoted by R and which is equal to rho L over A, where rho is the electrical resistivity, G is the conductance, and sigma is the conductivity. So this was all about today's video. Thank you very much. If you want PDF notes, you can ask me in comment section or you can follow me on my Telegram channel. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Stay happy, stay healthy.